There's a question, though, in here about the running back room, gentlemen. And this is from Strike Adocious on YouTube asking, do you guys anticipate the running back room staying the same after the spring? Does either Williams, Holmes, or Singleton leave with anticipation of the incoming freshman from Lee County coming in? And we talked about him earlier in the show, but definitely talking about Usman Kroma, a very talented running back that Florida State was able to flip away from the Georgia Bulldogs and Kirby Smart. What are y'all's thoughts on this running back room here in this question?
I mean, honestly, I was a little surprised that we didn't see any attrition during the spring window, because obviously Holmes showed in limited opportunities in 2024 that he was arguably the most productive running back on that roster last season. And Williams, on the other hand, coming in from Alabama, didn't have the season that he wanted to, dealt with an injury that knocked him out for a large duration of that 2024 season. So I just thought one of those two guys, if someone was going to transfer out of Florida State's running back room, it would probably be one of them, since they've only got one season of eligibility remaining to showcase themselves before a possible professional career. And, you want to get as many touches as possible. So I think at this point, Chroma obviously not going to enroll until the summer. That'll be after the spring window, but depending on how things go during spring practice, and we'll see how those two continue to perform. And then you think about the guys behind them. Samuel Singleton, just named a freshman All-American for his work on special teams as a kick returner. He's still got a lot of potential and seems like a guy that's just going to continue to get better. Cam Davis, going into his second season with the program, needs to work on his vision some, but he was a tough runner, and he played through some injuries last year as well. And then Mekhi Danzy, the speedster, already impressing over there with the track team. He needs to add a little bit more to his frame, but whenever he gets out there in the open field, he's like a blur. So we'll have to see. It's a very interesting running back room. And then Jalen Lucas, we'll see how he does in that recovery from his season-ending injury, what he's able to do throughout the course of spring. And there's a lot of different bodies in that room. And, Florida State under Gus Malzahn, they're going to want to run the ball. They're going to use probably multiple running backs, and we'll see how it shakes out. It wouldn't surprise me if there does end up being a departure.
Yeah, my guess is that when Norvell and Malzahn and all these other guys are just talking to this room and be like, hey, stick with us through spring. Let's see where we figure out with an offensive line that's actually worth something, and see how that rotation kind of, clicks out. And if you don't like where you are, then makes total sense to leave. I would agree. I think Holmes, if anybody, is the most likely candidate of that group, because he was RB4, RB5 last year. Didn't really get a lot of touches. So to me, that would make the most sense, even if he's a talented running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and two, like you said, the offensive line. Just seeing a better product there is going to really get us a good feel of some of these younger running backs like Singleton, also to Cam Davis. Like, I still think it's really hard to grade what we saw in the running back room last year with it, but it is a loaded room. It's a loaded room, and interested to see what kind of attrition there is, but it's going to be very hard to compete with a guy that has some really good natural talent and an absolute playmaker with Usman Kroma. That was a massive pickup for Florida State, and I'm interested to see how he can fit into this rotation early on, because he is going to get out there. There's a reason why Florida State was able to get him and flip him on early signing day and just such a short notice. There's some promises made, and we're definitely going to see some Usman Kroma, but interested how that shakes out the rest of that room. And interested, too, like a guy like Mekhi Danzy, if we see him as more of a hybrid guy in this offense, just with his length and the way that he can be a pass catcher, just kind of what we saw him, too, being utilized last season on the offensive side of the ball. So another room that we will be keeping a very close eye on once we're able to get out there for some spring camp action.